So we're here with Helen Ryvar. It's our first guest in a while, actually, thinking about it. Just been thinking, we haven't had a guest on for a long time because we've been focusing on our own running. But we have got Helen Ryvar. Hello, Helen.
Hi.
So I
Hello.
don't know if you want to introduce yourself to us, Helen. I know who you are, obviously, but if you want to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Sure, yeah. Hi, Rob. Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me on your show. My name's Helen Ryvar. I'm 43 and I live in a village called Llai, which is in North Wales. Closest place you might know is Wrexham. Wrexham, let's put Wrexham back on the map. And I'm currently running a half marathon streak.
So we know a little bit about your half marathon streak, and we have been putting things on Instagram. I think it was 646 days consecutive last time we put a story on there. How many days is it now?
So this morning I ran my 649th consecutive half marathon.
Oh wow.
Horrific. Well,
so when this podcast goes out tomorrow, it'll be on your 650th half marathon.
Yeah, so that's quite a big milestone. But my kind of work in sort of 666. So my first Guinness record streak, I got to 111. So then my kind of like 222, 333, and so on. So 666 is my next big thing in my head. But 650 is pretty epic tomorrow, so it's a nice day to put this out there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got a Guinness World Record of 111 consecutive days. Is that prior to this, or was this including this streak?
No, so back in 2020, obviously it was lockdown, it was COVID, and the week before we got put on national lockdown, I actually had 2 policemen knock on my front door, and they said, "We've got some really bad news for you. My ex-husband has sadly passed away. He was found dead." And I was like, right, okay. So I've got a history of depression and anxiety basically from living with him, because he suffered from mental health issues and kind of portrayed a lot of those on me. So it wasn't just him, but it was also me, and together we had a toxic relationship. So I basically thought I'm going to get really ill again here now. I'm going to get really poorly, or I can go and do something. And of course, we would go and run. We could go outside for walks. We could do anything outside. So I started just going out for a couple of hours, coming back from my front door to my front door. And that's where the first streak began. So I didn't go out to set a Guinness World Record. I just started streaking. I just started running, not really realizing what I was doing. I just realized that 2 hours was a nice time to be out and about. I'd had enough after that, and I could run a half marathon in that time. So I started training with an online trainer called Jamie Alderton. You may have heard of him. And like a 10-day tune-up, which was free. I mean, there was loads going online, wasn't there, at that period for people that wanted to get fit from home, do your kettlebell workouts, do these things. And he did a 10-day tune-up. So it really got me into just being accountable and kind of looking after myself more, eating better, getting 10,000 steps a day, getting up early, reading a page of a book, just little things, but doing it consistently for 10 days. And after that, it was February. And then I was like, right, okay, so I can do 28 days of something. Obviously, this was last year, so it was 28 days in Feb. The year before, it was 28 days. So I did 28 days of half marathons and thought, right, I can keep going here. So I just kept going and going. Then I Googled who was the current record holder for half marathons and found a lady in South Africa called Sharon. Sharon Tate Jessup had done, I think, 101, but the official record stood at 75. So she'd done the runs, but she hadn't claimed the official title for it yet, because that takes quite a lot of admin and quite a lot of time. So my goal in my head at the time was just to beat that record of 101. So I thought, give it a clear 10 more, so I'll do 111, just not to rub salt in the wound, And the great thing, isn't it? Now I'm on 600 and something. But anyway, at the time that was quite a big deal for me, and I'd done this sort of 3-4 months solid half marathon runs every day, and it just made me feel great just to kind of do something for myself at a time where we were so restricted. So I applied to Guinness and I got the record. So I am the current Guinness World Record holder, and that does still stand. That's for female. There is a male record ongoing at the moment, but there's no official holder for a male at the moment. It's just mine with the female. So yeah, the record's 111. but I am on a second streak now, which I started in 2021, the 1st of May, and I'm still going. And today, like I say, I ran my 649th consecutive half. So the original goal was supposed to be 150. I got to 150 and I was like, I'm not ready. I don't want to finish. Just do one more, just one more. So then it was 222 to double my 111. It's like, man, I've got one more in me. I'm not ready. And then you've got David Goggins in the back of your mind saying, come on, you've got 40% left in you, the cookie jar, when you think you're empty, still got loads left in you. And I just kept on taking it day by day. I thought, if I can get up and do it, then I'm going to. And I've just now got to the stage where I've got this routine of running a half marathon at 4 a.m. I just do it like I brush my teeth, like I go to bed, like I eat my lunch. It just is part of my daily routine. And I'm hoping to keep going till 1,000. So it's ambitious. It would take me up to 24th of January 2025. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment with my second streak. And the second streak is actually to raise money for Mind, for mental health. The first streak wasn't for any charity. I struggle with asking people for money. But given my and what people may know of me, I don't know how much people know, if you've got any questions on my past, but in a nutshell, I did suffer from depression and anxiety because of an abusive relationship, and because of my lack of self-confidence and my self-worth as a result of that, being in that relationship for over a decade, constant gaslighting and feeling like that, and not realizing there was any help out there. And the running made me realize you can help yourself a lot. Like, yes, you can go and see a counselor or stuff, but there's also a lot of stuff you can do for yourself, which can instantly make you feel better. So that's partly why I keep doing it today.
So we talk about mental health quite a lot on the podcast. We had last May, and we're planning on doing something this May as well around Mental Health Awareness Week. We had we had three people on actually. One of our friends, Dave Morton, came on. He's in the military police, and he talks about how running helped him with his mental health. Joe Laplana, who is a general nurse, who worked through in intensive care during COVID, and how running helped him. And then we had Tom, from Brooks, the mental health runner. He came on and he talked about how running really helped to improve his mental health. Getting up at 4 a.m. though, that's crazy. I knew that you got up at 4 a.m. and as soon as I saw you say 4 a.m., I saw Ben's face go, what?
Yeah.
I say that because I've got two kids that getting up at 4 a.m. is the ideal time to probably go out before they do and get the day started. But the thing I thought it's impressive. You do 4 a.m. every
Every
day.
weekday. So I'm a full-time cleaner by day. I've
Okay.
got my own cleaning business, which I work 9 till 5 most days. And some
Yeah.
flexibility obviously around the kids, but I'm out of the house most days, running around after them or working. So I have to run in the morning, or I
Yeah.
have to run after work. And I think if I was to run later on, I think I'd just be anxious all day. Like, I've got to still run. In the summer,
Less chance you'd
yeah,
do it,
there's
right?
too many distractions. After school clubs, I've got 3 teenage kids. They do PE after school. They've got friends. They want taxiing around. They want food. And there's always something going on. But in the morning, 4 o'clock is just great. So from the outset, I spoke to an American man called Micah Shevitz. Again, I've mentioned him on a lot of my posts. So for anyone that knows him or is following me will know about him. But he's an American guy that contacted me and instigated this second streak. Basically, he's in Miami and he was on 400 or thereabouts consecutive half marathons back in 2021, and he said, would I consider doing another streak just to help him? And that's kind of where this all came from. And since then, I've been to Miami to run with him to do the official Miami half, and that was really quite difficult because of the time difference. So they're 5 hours behind, plus there's a 10-hour flight, plus a 3-hour drive to London, plus transfer time. So trying to fit a half marathon and work all the logistics of that out, 3 kids in tow, during school term time was pretty complicated. And then kind of going to 30 degrees to come back to like -10, I think it was, the week I came back here, it was pretty harsh as well. So sleep deprivation and all of that stuff came into play. Jet lag was real. But yeah, he instigated the whole streak. And I've forgotten the question now, actually.
So wait, can I just ask you a question? So when you say second streak, is this a second streak because there was the first was
The
broken?
first there was a gap. I only ever wanted to
There's a
go
gap.
to 111. I ran to 111 and I stopped. And then all I did was
Okay.
I ran an ultra marathon after that. I did a 75-mile day ultra on the Penthin, and completed that like it was no problem because I'd got the. I'm actually going to be completing attempting an ultra as part of this streak next month. It's the Chester 50 miler, which is ambitious, but I've deferred it for 2 years now because of this half marathon streak. So I used to call it streak 2.0 because it is my second streak. The first 111 are separate. They're not counted. If I counted them with the amount of half marathons I've run in my lifetime, it will be over 1,000.
Yeah.
And I'm 43 years old. It's probably more than
Wow.
people will do ever in their lifetime. I probably do more
Definitely.
in a week than a lot of people would do in their lifetime. But the idea is to inspire others to sort of get streaking and running. It doesn't have to be the distance, but just getting into a habit of doing something every day that's going to help them.
Yeah. We have got a person who's a listener actually, Kieran Bedford. We talk about him quite a lot on the show. And he's doing a streak currently. He's on day 1,864. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think he does a half marathon every day, but he does at least every day. He does a run, and he has actually asked a question. So we put it out there to the guys to ask any questions that they had. And his question was, what is your worst run?
My worst run? Oh, crikey.
The hardest run.
There's no such thing as a worst run, I don't think. See, people ask me this all the time. They're like, do you ever not want to get out of bed, not want to run? Hand on heart, there's not been a day where I felt like that. There's not been.
Really?
Yeah, there's not been a worst run. People would probably think today was the worst run. You've seen the forecast. I'm in North Wales.
Yeah.
Snow and sleet, all sorts, weather warning. The schools were closed, the kids are off today. I'm like, this is nothing. I've done much worse than this. There's been quite a lot of hard runs, but when you do it,
Yeah.
you get you kind of get weathered somehow, like a stone in the sea is getting bashed against the rocks every day and it gets smooth, so it just doesn't bother me. The question you asked before, I just remembered, was the 4 o'clock starts as well. Yeah, they're hard to begin with, but you get used to it. It's just getting in that routine, the discipline of doing a daily run. So there's none that. It was hard going to Miami and coming back because of the jet lag. That was difficult, but I'm used to sort of sleeping on 6-7 hours sleep a night maximum. 6 is probably more realistic, to be fair, because of having 3 children. I had 3 kids under 3. I've got twins. So yeah, and then I was obviously depressed, and I had a bipolar manic depressive ex-husband. So when you've had no sleep for 10 years, like having 6 hours is actually a luxury. For me, it's about the quantity of sleep, but I think it's more about the quality of sleep. And I never have trouble sleeping, like never, since running this streak. It's quality 6 hours sleep. So there is no good or bad run. You always feel different every single day. Like, I'm only human. I'm not a robot. I don't zone out, but I have coping mechanisms to deal with those things. So if I'm feeling a bit down, I'll put some groovy music on. If I'm feeling a bit like I need to just relax a little bit, I might just go, naked, not literally, but not wear my headphones.
Now that's a different kind of streak.
Yeah, no, but you just have to get coping mechanisms. And by running at 4 a.m, to be fair, for the first hour, you're waking up anyway. You're still half asleep, so you just kind of, you get to know your area really well. You get to kind of acknowledge things. I never have had a run where I forgot it, where I have got bored. Every single post of mine is of something different every day. Yeah, I've just run mainly in the same area, like a 15-mile radius of Wrexham. But it's just like, it's your mindset, and it's thinking outside the box, and it's looking for the good in every run, even if it is snowing or raining. And by going at 4, I wake up at 4 and go out the front door at 4:15. So there's no time for error. There's no time for pity parties. I've just got to get my shoes on, get my gear on, and go. So I need to prep the night before. So tonight I've already checked the weather. I know I've got a window actually 4 till 5 o'clock. It's okay, but at 6 o'clock the rain's coming in 50%. So so I've got waterproof waterproof, so I've got high vis, I've got my my light head torch is on charge already. I'm running with a friend tomorrow, and I know kind of what we're going to be doing and where we're going, so I can just go and sleep on it, wake up and go and do it. And before you know,
A lot of sound advice there for people that are training.
it's just
definitely.
prep. It's just prep and routine. There's no rocket science to this. But a lot of people are just sadly too lazy in today. It's true. Like they have excuses. Not everyone can do it. But I mean, I couldn't run very far to begin with. You don't have to run. You don't even have to run. You know what I mean? You can just do 5 minutes, outside. But the key has been exercising outside as well, and not in a gym. So I used to spend a lot of time exercising in the gym, and I think that's put me in good stead for this. So I would spend 2 or 3 hours easily CrossFit, swimming, weightlifting. I do all sorts of spin, lots and lots of different stuff. So I think I'm not a skinny girl. I never have been. I haven't lost loads of weight doing this streak yet. I'm running a half marathon every day, and I think that's the reason why. I think it's helped.
I think there's a lot of people that could easily stumble across your Instagram account or your story and go, do you know what? That's easy. I would do that if I had the time to do it, but it's not the case. You're a businesswoman. You own a business. You've got kids. You've got a busy life, and you're still fitting all of
Yeah.
this in. I think that's what's more impressive. Like, there isn't excuses. You don't allow there to be excuses. You don't allow those things to get in the way because you're determined to get done what you've started, and not just get it done, but to have a goal that is going to continue to take it to wherever you want it to go. You say 1,000. I think you're probably going to go on longer than that by the way that you're talking about it. That's what makes it
1,000's
impressive.
a long time away, and thank you very much. That means a lot, and that's exactly it. It is juggling like the daily life. That's the hardest part of it. We have holidays. We're going to Turkey in the summer. I'm taking the children. They might have to be somewhere for school, or I've had family treatments. My dad died during this streak, so I had to run. The day I found out he'd passed away, and the day of his funeral. I've been to weddings. I've got another wedding coming up in Scotland next month. So again, I'm going to have to sort of work that one out somehow. But running is great because you don't need any kit. It's not like you need to take a bike or prep it, or you can within 10 minutes just get out and do it. You just commit. So by committing to 1,000, I will do 1,000. Whether I'll go beyond that, I don't know. I'm not planning on going beyond that. But if you look back to the start, I've posted my runs every single day, and a lot of people maybe might believe me, but every single run I've posted to Strava. I record on my Polar Watch because Guinness World Records don't actually accept Strava. So you can change and manipulate the sort of details in there. So I know to record on my watch as well. They can cross-reference both those things, and on the Nike Run app I use that too quite a lot. So it's just about just getting in a routine that works for you, and setting bars definitely helps, and setting milestone runs like 111 or 222 or 650 like tomorrow. That really helps, and quite often I'll make that a social event now, so I'll encourage people to come and run with me. So on day 500, I think that was my last biggest run. I forget, we had maybe 50 people there, like running, just local run clubs. They just turned up. It honestly was the most amazing experience. Just my own little half marathon, just around my village. It was great.
That's
That's
amazing.
exactly what.
I was going to suggest actually that me and Ben come running with you one of the days that you do a half marathon. That we will come. I'll have to do my training. It might be a bit. We'll have a conversation off the podcast. I'm not going to commit today to an actual day, but we can have a conversation out the side of the podcast, and we'll get you back on to the podcast when you've done your 1,000th podcast, that 1,000th half marathon as well. We could do a live podcast whilst running a half marathon.
Amazing, yeah, that'd be good.
That's an
So
idea.
There we go.
I've got some quite big plans for 1,000. Obviously, it's going to be a big day. Micah says he might come over from Miami to run with me. If he carries on, I mean, he'll be way over like the 1,000 mark. Obviously, Micah ran. I think he's on 444. Sorry, 1,044 today. So Micah's
Wow.
over.
Wow.
And he's going for the male record. And it's no threat to me because I'm going for the female record. But there's been talks he may carry on running until he gets to his 50th birthday and all this jazz. He's going to be 50 in December, and I'm 43. 44 this year. We're not young. We've got kids. We've got families. We've got jobs. We're just normal people. You know, I live a normal life. I work hard. I cover maybe 50,000 steps on an average day. My only respite's at the weekends where I don't have to get up at 4 a.m. So I keep them as like flex.
But you still go out and do a half marathon.
Or come in
That's incredible.
weekends, or you'll have to come at 4 a.m. in the mornings. But
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking the half marathon doesn't put me off. It's the 4 a.m. start, I must admit.
It-
but actually, it's 4 till 5 is honestly, it's this magical time of morning where it's in the birds singing, and sort of maybe 80% of my runs now, 85% maybe, have been solo, just me, nobody else. And it's amazing how quickly you get used to the dark and how nature becomes your friend. And it is that connection that is like the antidote to the depression and like the sadness. And it, honestly, the way it uplifts me in the morning, and that feeling of completing a half marathon before 6:30 in the morning, and everyone's just my kids are still in bed. I still get an hour in the bath every day if I want. It's honestly, it's great. And all I've done, the only thing I've sacrificed is going to bed early. So I go to bed at 9 and then I can get up at 4, no problem. Sometimes I'm asleep by 10, but go to bed at 9. Because I asked myself, what do I do between sort of 9 and 11? So sometimes before this streak, I'd go to bed like 11 o'clock. I mean, what do you do between 9 and 11? Like, really? Like,
Just sit and watch television.
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So
death scrolling on Instagram and all that sort
yeah,
of stuff.
and then you go to bed, and you know you've got all that blue light thing because you've been on your phone or you've been on your telly, and then you're tossing and turning, and you might be eating too late and all this. And that's exactly what I was doing. I just found it was dead time, so I just go to
Yeah.
bed, get up early before anybody else is up, and the world is a much nicer place. And then sort of 5 o'clock, you get all other people going to the factories and stuff. So we pass the milkman. The milkman thinks I'm a bit crazy now, and this guy Paul's been running with me all week.
Are you on name terms with the milkman?
No,
You say hello to each other
I don't
now.
know his name actually, but we see him all the time. Like I say, me and my friend Paul have seen him twice this week. I often have people run with me. Paul's, and the people that run with me actually have their own mini challenges within this challenge. So Paul, my friend, is running with me for 5 days. He's doing 5 in 5 and 100 miles this week. So maybe inspired by what I'm doing, I don't know. We passed another friend running, was it yesterday, called Ollie, and he was running 28 miles to work at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. He was on his way to work. Yeah, because we checked his Strava afterwards, and that's what he was doing. And he started off running early mornings with me too. So it's contagious.
I mean, I haven't been able to run since last Saturday because I'm a bit under the weather, which is another question I want to ask you in a minute when we get to it. But Rob, is this making you be inspired to start our own run streak?
I'm not quite sure about that. I yes, but not a half marathon every day. I don't think.
Hasn't got to be a half marathon. We set the distance ourselves, but yeah. I can see that I can see your eyes are twinkling. I've seen that twinkle before. We've done many episodes. I've seen the twinkle.
What was it? No. Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I have thought about starting a bit of a streak. I don't know what it would be or what it would entail. And I think my concern is, like Helen, I'd get the bug and I'd want to do it all the time. Yeah. And and like you say, I've got young kids. I've got a 5-year-old and I've got a 13-year-old. Like tonight, I came home from work and I was all planned to go and go for a run and do my training session. But then my daughter was playing netball. I couldn't get outside. I couldn't get off work on time, so I couldn't go for my run, then go watch netball. And I was like, I feel guilty not going watch my daughter play netball. And I could have done it when I come home, but then it was like
could have ran around the netball court.
Could have done potentially.
Yeah.
And then come home, cook tea, and then they doing the podcast. So I completely agree with you, Helen. I put excuses in the way, whereas if I'd got up at 4 o'clock this morning, I could have quite easily got out and done that.
Yeah.
Helen, can I ask you a question? So Kieran asked you, our listener, about a difficult run, and I really like your answer. There's no difficult run. It's like you take enjoyment from every run. Has there been a memorable run for the fact that it was a bit of a ridiculous route? So like, for instance, you talked about being on holiday. Maybe you did a half marathon running up and down the same street, or you've got limited space in which you can do it. If you're on holiday and you can't go out? Like lockdown obviously meant you could only go out once a day, but has there been a memorable one for a particular route?
There's been plenty of memorable ones, actually. Probably the hardest one was in Petra. So I was very lucky to have won a place on a sponsored trip to Petra in Jordan. A company called Venari Partners in London sponsored me and a few other people, including Sean Conway, who you probably heard of. And he came, he was like our group leader. And he sponsored people that had been through tough times to trek across the desert. So we were trekking 21 kilometers a day across the desert. But I was also on this half marathon run streak, and I was adamant I was going to get through it. So I was adamant I'm still going to get up, I'm still going to run, and I'm still then going to trek the 20 odd kilometers a day that we need to do. It was ambitious again. I wasn't sure whether I was going to do it. We're in a desert, and of course the war was happening. This was just last October. So in our camps on the evening, we had like American fighter planes flying over, and it's dark, it's pitch black. There's no lights. There's just your head torch. Your desert. It's hot. It's humid, and I was like, right, how on earth am I going to get these half marathons done? There's no GPS. I've got nothing to go on. Literally nothing. Whichever direction you look in, it looks the same. It's Petra wasn't in areas what I imagined. I thought it would be just arid deserts and lots of sort of sand dunes, but it's very, very hilly and it's very rocky. It's almost like an arid snow. So it was very technical, and there were sections that you basically couldn't run. You had to scramble to get up them. So I just had to take it day by day. I'd never been there before. I didn't know where I was going. I was with a group of people that I'd just met, and I was in the middle of a desert, and there was a war going on just across the water. So it was it was ambitious, but I did do it. And there was one day I remember quite vividly. It took me ages, and I actually did loads of videos because I thought people aren't going to believe I've done this, but I have done it. And I got lost. I got totally lost. I went off from camp 4 a.m. Like, I'm going to get it done. Went off from camp, kept the routine going, left my tent, zipped it up. Everyone heard everything, of course, because there's no noise around apart from me. Bloody, sorry, Helen again, just sort of all the racket, me and my head torch, and off I went. And I just got really, really disorientated, and all I could do was kind of find anything. So I found a boot, a sandy boot on the side of the path, and then I also found an old bottle, and I found an edge of a cliff. So then I was like, right, I had my watch, and my watch was working, so I could just run from those three, and I just kept on running, like running back and back and back and back until the sun came up, and I could actually see I was really not that far, maybe not even half a mile from camp, and I could work out my bearings from the hills and the mountains at that point. But I was like, it doesn't really matter where you run as long as you get the distance in. So that netball court, Rob, you could have done it.
Could have done it, Rob.
I could have
You
done.
could have done
I
it.
could have. I must. Yeah. Thinking about it now, and you've run in Petra, and I'm moaning about going to watch netball. I must admit, I could have done it.
These things put things in perspective. I mean, like I didn't. There was one run I did. It wasn't part of this streak, but it was when I first started running ultras. So I haven't done loads of ultras. It was called the Snowdonia Quarter, and I honestly thought I was going to die that day. It was a 50-mile ultra from Borthagest to Conway via Snowdon, and it was my first ever ultra. I was supposed to run it with my sister. My sister actually ended up moving to France, so she didn't do it with me, and I was completely unprepared. And I ended up running with a random guy. We got lost on top of the mountain. Again, we were on a cliff edge, and I just completely broke down, and I just swore to myself, I'm never ever going to put myself in this position again. I'm never going to be so unorganized that I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get home. And it's just like my kids, I've got to get back. I've got kids, they're waiting for me. And we did complete it. We came last, but we did complete it, much to the surprise of everybody, I think, who was really worried on the finish line. But I think these hard runs like Petra is just one of them. There's been others as well as part of this streak, but you learn something from each and every run. There's been hard runs just going from my front door. There's been runs where I've gone up to, you might have seen recently, I went to Fuerteventura and I ran up to a volcano crater and then around the whole ridge of the volcano crater, and it's just a sheer drop. I've done like quite tough terrain. I've done the like Snowdon half as part of this streak. That was quite a tough one. So my runs aren't just like from my front door around the block and back. They are quite technical, a lot of them, and a lot of them are in the dark at 4 a.m. It won't get light yet for another good month, I don't think, but I'm looking forward to summer coming, and it's going to be nicer. But I have run on the hottest day of the year and the coldest day of the year. We had -10 last year, and we also had more than 30 degrees here, didn't we? And that was in the UK. So it could have been the year before, actually. I forget. I've been going for nearly 2 years now, you see, so it's trying to rejog all of these events. But yeah, there's always a run. It's your mindset that gets you through. It's your mind will give up before your body, they say, don't they? And it's so true.
Yeah.
So